Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 1000 Gurus, where we share the stories and life lessons from people of all walks of life. And I'm your host, Jariona Gurus. So today, my good friend and former dance teammate Alex Hung is back for his third guest appearance on the show. I think only 4 people have joined the Three Timers Club, and I was really excited to have him back. This was such a riveting and intellectually stimulating conversation, one of the most quote-unquote cutting-edge conversations, since we heavily talk about AI, its effect on the workforce and the job market, some AI tools that we've been exploring both professionally and personally, and advice on how to navigate it moving forward into the future. We also discussed some of his most engaging LinkedIn posts, and it was focused on the topics of managing a productive workplace as a manager or a leader in a company. So for example, we talk about toxic high performers, understanding work culture and etiquette, and motivating your team. At the end, we have our final thoughts on where we think all of this is heading, and hopefully we leave you guys with less doom and gloom and a little bit of optimism. So overall, this was such an S-tier conversation in my books, and one that I'm excited to re-listen to and to circle back on when we have him back on the show for a follow-up conversation in the future. So without further ado, hope you enjoyed this episode with Alex Hung. Hello and welcome back to 1000 Gurus. Alex Hung, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back.
Yeah, thanks for being back, man. Cool. Yeah, thanks for jumping on for this remote interview. So this is your third episode on the podcast. So your first solo episode was episode 34, recorded last April, almost a year ago, or actually a little bit more than a year ago. And episode 47 was our K10 reunion sort of episode, and that was back in July. And so now you're back here for this recording, and this is end of April-ish. So I think this will come out, I think beginning of June. So it's about like six-ish weeks out. But yeah, so happy to have you back, man. What you been up to? Oh, I also saw you last month for your birthday in Anaheim. I just dropped by real quick. So it was nice to see you and caught up with some of the other couple modern folks for a little bit. But yeah, what you been up
Yeah.
to?
Well, thanks for showing up for my birthday. Really appreciate that. And dropping
Had
off
to
an
do it.
awesome gift. In case anyone's curious, he dropped off some, was it hoji? No, it was umeshu, the
Yeah,
green
yeah.
tea
Hmm.
umeshu, the plum wine. So
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Yeah, no, those are
Yeah.
good. That's usually my
Yeah.
default for any adults who I know like alcohol. I'm like, okay, one of these is good because I would just drink this all day by myself.
Yeah. You don't get sick of it. And it's not too sweet. So that's
Hmm,
that's how
hmm.
you know we're older.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. What have I been up to since? So I think there's been a lot of change for me, at least in my career in the last 6 to 8 months, mostly around the rise of AI, how that's affected me and my business that I work at. And also, I had a change in my job as well, because for a long time, I was the chief of staff at my company. And that was mostly supporting the CEO, doing special projects, overseeing the people, the operations, the strategy. And it was a little bit less defined. It was kind of just whatever the business needed. But now it's shifted. I'm now in charge of revenue, which is really sales, marketing, and I've continued to be in charge of HR still, which has
Mm.
sort of taken a back seat to everything else. So just with those responsibilities, there's been a lot of things that we've tried to grow the business. I think AI has affected how businesses are run nowadays, and you kind of want to stay ahead of it. You don't want to fall behind, and we're trying to stay competitive. So there's just been a lot of challenges and things that we've been trying to keep up.
Mm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think we'll get into the nuts and bolts. I think the general overview of the questions I have are, what tools you've been using, how you've been using it personally, professionally in your company, and your general thoughts on how you've seen the landscape change in your field and I guess in general. And then also I brought in some of the LinkedIn posts that you've been making the last few months, which I think they were pretty thought provoking. And so I kind of linked a couple of these that might dig into if you're interested. But that's kind of like the direction of where we might go. But of course, we'll see where it takes us. I don't know if you had any jumping off points that you had, but I'm just curious, like what specifically tools are you using or leveraging, and like how are you using them?
Sure. So I think the earliest tool that I use probably most people have started with ChatGPT. So you start with ChatGPT. Before it was just you ask questions. It's like a better Google, right? And that's great because you don't have to go through each page and try to find the best answer. I think most of us started that way, but where it kind of started changing a lot and it was kind of forced upon us by our founder was when agents started to come about. This was probably around January timeframe is when
Mm,
agents and specifically OpenClaw came about. So OpenClaw is an open source agent that you could install and you could connect it to any LLM or large language model. It could be ChatGPT, it could be Claude, it could be whatever, Perplexity, Gemini, whatever it is that you want. And that's a tool that I've been experimenting with at first with an agent, just trying to figure out what are the capabilities of AI. And it was actually kind of a bitch to install. It was really difficult. It's not like you click download and then you install and then it just goes.
mm,
I actually had to get another agent to help me install the agent. So there's something called VS Code or Visual
mm,
Studio Code that you have to then connect your LLM to help you like fix all the problems I think they called it like doctoring, like you doctor the problems from the installation to help it
mm,
work. And the biggest thing is every time you hit the update button on OpenClaw, it breaks. So then you need the doctor thing. You need VS Code again to fix it again so it'll work again. So point is, it was really hard to get set up. And that's why I'm not surprised why adoption wasn't so widespread at that point because it was so new. There's still
mm,
like there's a barrier of entry. So I'm glad that I was able to kind of get through it. It took me a couple days to figure it out. But once I got it up and running, I just wanted to test, well, what is this about? Like, what's the difference between an agent and a chat?
yeah,
And I wanted to know what the limitations were too. And just to make it more of a summary, the things that it was good at, as long as it's connected to like a specific platform through an API. Let's just say your Gmail. You connect your Gmail through an API, which is like a direct connection. And you ask it like, okay, well, I want you to send me a notification of how many emails I got from this person. And then suggest for me what replies I should give it. If you just told it to do that for you, it can do that for you every day. That it's really good at, checking things
mm,
that it has a direct connection to. But if
mm,
you were to say, this is at least at that point with the language models that we have, if you were to say, I want you to go look through several web pages and get me some information or help me click buttons and help me log in, enter something in, it's really bad at
mm,
that. Like it can't
mm,
impersonate you to go and do something without explicit instructions. Like it's not good at guessing. So this was like back in January. So that's kind of where I started. And then it's iterated on itself. And at this point, 3 months, 4 months later, our company has tried to have the whole entire company adopt AI, at least like more than 50%. And we've decided to go with Claude as our main language model to roll out just because it's a lot easier to set up, get people in. So it's more easily digestible and it's more reliable.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So just to back it up for our audience who maybe doesn't have as much experience. So I use Claude personally. I did start on ChatGPT as well. And I think my workplace is also integrating Claude. And I did some of the integrations for like my own Gmail and stuff like that. So I have some context of how it works. But could you explain the difference between going into ChatGPT or Claude and typing in something versus the agent? Like what is the difference between that?
Yeah. Where can I start? We could use Claude as an example because Claude
Okay.
has different products. There's
Yeah. Yeah.
Claude
Yeah.
Chat, which is, think of it like question and answer, right? You ask it
Right.
questions, you could ask it to look up stuff and it'll give you an answer. It could even look through files you update, do some analysis. Sorry, not update, upload, do analysis, and then give you some stuff around that. Then there's Cowork, which
Mm,
is also like an agent. That one is an agent. Claude Cowork is, if you think about, I want you to do something for me. It's not just give me an answer. I want you to go and do something for me.
mm,
Go on
mm,
another application, do something there, and give me the output. So the agent, think agent is they do something for you. And then
Mm.
code is, think of it like a developer, a software engineer. It'll build something for you. And typically it would be an app, probably website, something like that. So they have Claude Chat, they have Claude Cowork, and then they have Claude Code. And
Mm-hmm.
then recently they also put out something called Claude Design, which then you can design flyers, web pages.
Oh, like a
Uh,
graphic design sort of
yeah,
like
yeah.
image
Think of it
generator.
like, yeah, think of like things that you would use Figma for. I don't know if you're familiar with
Mm-hmm.
Figma.
Yeah,
It's not great at like creating images. We're probably going to go down a bit of a rabbit hole, but like
sure.
images, the winner for a long time was Nano Banana from Gemini. It's the Google product, and they're
Oh.
really good at making images. So when people were trying to make images, they would go on Gemini's Nano Banana, use
Mm.
that. Apparently, ChatGPT is now going to put out their own image generator that's even better than Nano Banana, and I think it's releasing either today or tomorrow.
Oh,
So I'm
interesting.
really interested to see how good the quality of the images are going to be
Yeah.
for just generating that. But
So
those
what
are
about
kind of the
design?
differences between each product.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
is the output of design? Is it like a Figma file or what is design output?
I would say it's like, let's just give an example of a flyer. I want to make a flyer,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you don't know, you just kind of know what should go on it. So maybe you would go into a ChatGPT chat or Claude chat and you'd say, oh, let's just ideate, think about what's going to be on the flyer. What information do you want? You take that information and then you plug it into Claude Design, just copy paste it, and then say, I want it to have this vibe, these colors, or this like feeling, and then it'll just throw something together for you. It'll format it, it'll pick the font, and it'll put it in something that
Mm.
you could consider. And then once they put it out there, you could edit it. You could say, oh, I don't like that color, or I don't like how big the font is. You could change the text, and it'll just kind of do the heavy lifting for you, and you just tweak it from there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like what you can do in Canva's AI, and also I use something called Gamma, and it's like a presentation slash something creator, but it sounds the
Hmm.
same, where it's okay, I'm trying to create a PowerPoint or a flyer or something, and then here are the
Yeah,
parameters, and then
yeah.
it kind of spits out something. Okay, I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
what you mean.
yeah. So
So
Claude
Claude is
has
just
that
coming with
now.
their own.
Claude didn't have that
Yeah,
before. Like
yeah, yeah,
slides,
yeah.
Claude didn't have slides, but
Mm,
now you could create slides. I haven't tried it yet because it just came out,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm definitely putting some slides together with that.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
What I did was, well, me personally, when I was creating some presentations for this podcast, I would have Chat or Claude create something like a kind of like an outline of what I want for this episode, and then give me a prompt to put into Gamma, and then Gamma's AI would spit out the presentation, and then I'll spend like about an hour or so tweaking it and whatnot. But so
Yeah.
now it's then instead of the integration, now it's just okay, now they have their own product, and it's like straightforward into that.
Yeah.
It's
The good thing
interesting.
is that because it's all in one,
Yeah.
they kind of talk to each other. And the good thing about
Mm,
Claude and the reason why we put all our people on Claude is
yeah.
organization is a lot better. When you share
Right.
things, you can share artifacts, you could share
Mhm.
skills, you
For
could
projects?
you could share projects,
Mhm.
and you could also, what is it? You could control the access and control aspects of things,
Mhm.
like how much access should someone get, what should they be allowed to do, not allowed to do. It's just a lot easier to do that on Claude versus something like OpenClaw.
Yeah.
That's like the vigilante that's very capable, but you don't know what it will do. You don't know if it's
Oh,
going to break. It's really unorganized and it's unreliable, but it's super powerful. So that's kind of
interesting.
where OpenClaw is as of right now. And there's so many clones of OpenClaw now created by, like, I've heard of Kimmy Claw. Kimmy Claw is from, I think, NVIDIA. I think Meta, just their stock went up a bunch today because they just released like some sort of AI agent. I don't
Mm,
even know what it's called, but yeah, there's just so many competitors to that. But OpenClaw was pretty much the first agent that hit the
I
market that
see.
was really big.
I see, I see. And then the other ones are
Yeah.
kind of catching up and building off of that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. So we mentioned Claude. Anything else? Any other tools and or how else are you using it either personally or professionally?
Yeah. I think this is a great topic because, how you use it is different for every single person. And there's a lot of thought around everyone needs to adopt AI and everyone needs to, I don't know, leverage it to be as efficient as possible. But there's like, okay, so it's important for our company because we think of it as helping you build efficiencies, right? The way that we've done it is we actually rolled it out to all our people. We said, this is what it is. This is some idea of how you can use it, but we don't actually tell you how to use it. We're like, go
Mm,
experiment. Think of a
mm,
problem that you have and just ask if it could help solve your problem. And if it can't, then see if it could solve half your problem, right? And so, in my opinion, that's probably the better way for people to figure out how to use it versus a manager that's the only one using it and building the solutions for their team, because it's like a efficiency thing. If each person is trying to find solutions to their own problems, you'll come to a lot more solutions faster than if you're
mm.
bottlenecked by one person that's
More
building things
creativity.
for their own team. Yeah, that too. The other thing is because we're rolling it out this way, I think we'll be able to see where the issues are within the organization a lot easier. If 10
Mm.
people are asking for the same thing to be fixed,
Oh, right.
and 10 people, we see 10 people build almost the same thing, then we're going to see, okay, there's overlap between the needs of this department and the needs of that department. But when leadership builds or buy, like they used to just buy programs, right? Each department would just buy their own software,
Mm,
then there's like redundancy around stuff. So yeah, I think it's just a good way for us to also figure out engineering wise, what internal products should we put effort into? And yeah, it's a great way to test the population what's needed.
okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. And it makes a lot of sense because it's like a new toy, a new tool, and it's so open that there's not just one way to use it. And so, like you said, if everyone's kind of experimenting and playing with it differently, we can come up with a lot more and better solutions. And then where the
Yeah.
overlap is, okay, it seems like the demand for this, and this are higher. So maybe we should focus our efforts on kind of building something along those pipelines to help our team. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Are there any specific things that like you've built or leveraged or kind of that's helped you in your personal work? Anything
Yeah.
that's not proprietary, right? Like anything that's like, okay, I've been using it for this sort of thing and it's helped me a lot.
Yeah. Okay. So here's some examples of how people can use it. You could either do things to automate certain processes, like something that you have to do every day. You go to this thing, you check for something, and then you draft an email, right? That's just something that's repetitive. You could have the AI agent do that for you. Call it a cron job. It's like a scheduled task
Hmm.
that happens at whatever cadence you want it to do. So that's like a good example of how it could just help you figure out your day. So, for example, for me, I manage the sales team, and it's hard for them to get organized when there's just leads coming in and there's old leads that you still have to call and follow up and say, hey, did you want a meeting? Did you want to talk about pricing? And you lose track of some of them. They're like, oh, did we book a call yet? Did we not book a call? Did I email them yet? And so to make things easier, I connected my OpenClaw to our CRM, basically where our data is for all of our leads.
Hmm.
And I told it based on parameters to just lay out every day in order of priority who to call. Call these people in this order.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you why, right? Like, it's like these are the newest leads that you should have called yesterday. These are the leads that you emailed, but they never booked the meeting. So you need to follow up. And then there's like open deals that are really old that you really need to address. Either you close it out or you call them and just make a decision, or the ones that are kind of pending in the pipeline, right? So that's kind of the order of things of how do I structure my day, right? So if you're not
Hmm.
taking a meeting, you just go back to that list every single day that's sent out to you automatically. You just go down. So that's one way that I've hopefully helped my team be more efficient because they're not looking around on, oh, what do I do next? Which dashboard do I look at? Which list do I look at? Because there's so many. You could look at it by contact, by deal, by company. It's like there's too many. So yeah, I think that's been helpful, at least from the feedback that I've gotten from my team. That's one
Yeah.
example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Like prioritizing your day, kind of skimming through everything and giving suggestions on priority. So yeah, in my department, like we're the project management sort of department, and one way what we've been using our Claude is basically to, it's connected to our Slack, and so it has all the threads that everyone's in, and there's like a million Slack threads, and then also our sort of project management system in like Jira, if anyone's familiar with that. But it'll compile. Basically, we have these weekly summary updates that leadership wants. And so let's say every Wednesday or Friday, they want a summary of each feature that we're working on. And so with just a single prompt or something that we can just run, Claude will go through all of the Slack and like Jira comments and updates and then put an update in that feature ticket, whatever. And then that goes out every week or something like that. But obviously, it's not completely accurate. So everyone still has to go through and review it and tweak it and whatnot. But even just that is such a huge game changer because if half your job is just sorting through messages and figuring out what's relevant and the priority, and then having that done in like 10 seconds is such like a huge, oh, wow, okay, well, that was a lot of tedious work that I don't have to do anymore. But I do like that it still encourages you because it's not perfect that you have to still use your brain and not just, oh, just run this thing and I'm just going to check out. It's like, no, you still have to know what's going on and make sure that it's accurate because it's really just pulling in everything. It doesn't have a lot of context that you might have. So that's how it's been helpful in our sort of organization.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up actually, also because there was this whole thought about, does AI make you more stupid because it does stuff
Hmm.
for you? But like you
Yeah.
just said, you still have to check it. It's not always 100% right. And the other problem is that it doesn't have context. So yeah, you just always have to double check to see if it's giving you the right thing, and you have to course correct, or else it starts to hallucinate, starts to give you crazy things. So
Yeah,
there's always that check.
definitely. So I guess I have a couple examples, and if you have any, I would like to hear it. But so in my personal life, I've used Claude for co-work to go through my emails, and it was my birthday recently, and so I've had all these birthday freebies, and I would normally do this for the last 10 years manually in a spreadsheet of what the restaurant is, the freebie, when it expires, and location. And so I would project manage making sure to get everything before they expire. But Claude now just spit out this whole spreadsheet for me with locations, and then I asked it to suggest me trips. So I can do, oh, this block of 4 restaurants, do that in one trip, and this trip you can do later, and this one is not urgent, but you can go over to this area or this city and get these three. And so that was pretty cool. So now I'm going through, and every week I'm like, all right, mark these three as redeemed, mark this one as not redeemed because it's not worth it. And then it'll be like, congrats, you're like halfway through your free food freebie journey. And so I'm like, oh, this is nice. So I told my boss about this, and she was like laughing. She's like, man, you're just a project manager like in your own life, huh? I'm like, I'm doing what I'm meant to do, I guess. But it's been very like that whole integration is just a micro example, but it's been very useful.
That's so funny. You're birthday maxing.
Yeah,
You're
no,
just
a
you're
thousand
birthday
percent.
maxing so hard because most people will
Mm-hmm.
be like, "Oh, I like one or two restaurants where you get a discount or like a free
Yeah.
dessert." But if you have three or four in one day, and maybe they give you like a 3-day grace period for your birthday,
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy, man. But that's so
So
funny.
yeah, so here's the thing. It's like every year I've done this, it's like you have to be on email lists or to get the apps or something like that. And I get around 20 to 30 of these, and obviously I can't redeem all of them, but I try to redeem as much as I can. And like the values are pretty good. So for example, like I'll go to Benihana every year and that's about a $30 gift certificate. McDonald's will give you like a free item or Starbucks obviously to the day of. But most of them will be within the week or within the month. But there are a couple that are only like a couple days before or after, or Starbucks is the day of. But if you actually redeem them and they're not super out of the way and you actually want the things, it's a lot of like free money that they give you. Like even a thing at El Pollo Loco was like a $11 or $12 like freebie. I'm like, dang, this is a pretty good deal. So yeah,
JR,
I'm just like
you could
maximizing it.
literally program an app called
Yeah.
Birthday Month, and you could
It's
collect
true.
revenue on
It's true.
partnerships with all of these companies that you're giving business to and
Yeah.
advertisements. And you could build it
Mm-hmm.
in one day with Claude Code, probably.
You know
Do
that's a
it.
fantastic idea. No, I'll write that
Yeah.
down. Note to self. So
Yeah.
there's this Instagram that I follow. Just quick tangent. It's called like the freebie guy or something. And so he's always spamming out all these. Oh, Dunkin' Donuts is doing a free coffee yesterday, which they did, and I got. And so he'll be sending these things out. But to your point, that is actually a good idea if it's an automated way that people can just sign up and then it'll put them on all these lists and download the
Yeah.
app so they can redeem it, and then just spit out like the time frame of like, okay, this you have 30 days. Here's what you can redeem. Tell me what you want to do. I can organize the trips, and then you can go get it. Could be worth it.
You already have half of it done.
I do. I do. I'm pretty much
Yeah.
just doing it like, half manually, half automated. So, anyways, proof of concept for this year. And I only have 2 or 3 more items to get, but I'm like, dude, I actually am going to ask for the value, like the total amount of money that I've saved just
Yeah.
because I like this data. Because I already have the data of like when of everything else. But, anyways, that's just my own nerding out on it.
Yeah, it makes you feel
Um,
good. Like the bigger the number, the more
yeah.
you've
No, yeah,
gamed
of
the
course.
system. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like,
Yeah.
these businesses don't hear from me unless it's my birthday. Like some of them, like Krispy Kreme. I don't go to Krispy Kreme, but like once a year I get 3 free donuts. That's a good deal. That's like, I don't know, at least $5 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Anyways,
solid.
sorry, tangent. So, anyways, what are your thoughts on my next question is the we talked about tips and recommendations. Oh, how other companies are responding to AI. I guess more of a macro personal thoughts on the impact of AI on the workforce, society, work culture, or other companies. Do you have any jumping off thoughts?
Yeah. I think what's been in the news a lot lately are all these big companies doing layoffs. There's so many. And it seems like it's just getting more and more over time because the layoffs started, well, it was before COVID. And then I think the layoffs went away and then now they're coming back.
Mm,
But everyone's doing these layoffs because they say, oh, we need to make room for AI or an AI agent is replacing these workers. And I mean, my opinion based on the experience that I've had is an AI agent doesn't really replace people yet, unless your job is extremely repetitive, right?
mm,
Your job has to be documented, pretty narrow of, okay, it just does this. And it kind of has to fall in the sweet spot of where AI is right now for it to actually replace headcount. For
yeah.
us, we have not seen AI capable of replacing a full headcount because if you have to make any exceptions to decisions to anything in any given situation, the AI is not going to really know what to do with it because it's not at the point where it's just self-learning all the time yet. You have to figure it out. So to me, for all these companies to lay off tens of thousands of people and say that they're replacing them with AI sounds ridiculous to me, especially right now. I don't understand how that's even possible. If
Mm,
they're just making room for AI budget, totally get it. Yeah, you got to spend on AI. But
mm,
if it's to replace them with agents, that's ridiculous. The way that we're doing it is pretty different. We want to, instead of replacing people with AI, I think it makes more sense to focus on the opposite, which is increasing efficiency with AI, which I'm sure
like
everyone's kind of
output.
seeing, right? Yes.
Yeah.
I think one well, I'm slipping on the word falsehood. People think, oh, well, AI makes my job easier. And so I'm going to be able to chill because my agent's going to do my job for me. Nah, that doesn't happen. I don't know about
Mm,
you, but my job has just gotten harder because now you know what you're capable of doing at what speed. And for
mm,
us to keep up with the speed that AI is working is kind of ridiculous. And there was one of the LinkedIn posts that I posted was about like how much brain power you're using, right? Like
right.
how
Like
much
strategy versus the tedious. Yeah.
yeah, like the complex problem solving part of your brain. Before you could just kind of chill and do a certain task and your brain is not running at 100%. But when you're problem solving constantly, because that's what you're prompting the agent or AI to do, your brain is also tired. So yeah, we do want to focus on getting people to use AI to be more efficient. Hopefully they could handle more. Maybe someone who handles 5,000 in revenue, they handle 10 or 20 now. Or if you could only manage 3 people before, maybe you can now handle and manage 20 people. So that's kind of the way that we want to think about it. But you're definitely not going to be more chill with where the job market is going because of AI. I think it's going to be more tiring for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
How's
It
it been for
feels
you?
like no, I mean, I have the same thoughts and yeah, I agreed. Like from what I've seen the capabilities personally and in my workspace, I'm like, no, I don't think this can replace anything. Yeah, it makes our output better or more efficient or cleaner, and it saves a lot of the tedious work. But the amount of work and like the necessary or the need for people is still very much there, at least where we're at now. And so I totally agree. The one thing that I was thinking of was like, maybe it's more of a question because with your example, it's like, okay, let's say a very specific example. Let's say I have a company and have 10 accountants and they do 1,000 units of work per day or whatever the number is, right? And if AI is allowing my 10 accountants to now do like 2,000 units of work per day, then doesn't that mean that I could downsize my accountant so that they can all do more work? Because it's like a sort of tedious work given, they need to overlook and everything, but because their output is more, I could theoretically by math reduce that headcount.
Yeah. It depends on how repetitive the work is. I
Right.
think for things like travel agents, accountants, like executive assistants that help you schedule things,
Yeah.
an agent can do all that. So if you
Right.
had someone in that with that headcount, those jobs are going to be gone. Any like data entry people, gone, for sure
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about can it replace a project manager,
Right. Right.
actually I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, no, there's
Not
some like
not
nuance
yet,
there.
but
Yeah.
eventually,
Yeah. No,
probably.
I totally agree. I
Yeah.
think it's more of like you just said, the level of the type of work is to the tedious sort of entry level work or the more creative cognitive thinking. You need to actually think about the context and put things together. AI is not there yet. Maybe in the future it can be. And even like I was watching some videos on some YouTube channels like Infographic Show or something like that, where it's talking about how not some knowledge work, like let's say a lawyer or how AI can pass the bar, right? And then so you're
Mhm.
like, okay, so let's say a law firm has 10 lawyers, but could you downsize and still maintain the output? And I think companies can maybe they'll do that math and be like, oh, we can save so much money by firing half of our lawyers because now this AI or these agents can now replace or optimize our having less lawyers to do that knowledge work sort of thing. Obviously, I'm just kind of throwing out thoughts, but did you have anything on that?
Yeah, I do think that you could reduce your headcount because AI is kind of picking up the slack, right? Of some of these repetitive things that take up a lot of time.
Hmm.
But the thought is it would replace your headcount and you could downsize if everything remained the same in terms of output.
Mm.
But the idea is you want to aim for more output.
Right, of course.
So wouldn't you just want more output with the same amount of people you have?
Yeah,
Like if everyone is 5x, then the more people you have another 5x of output. So I guess it also is a balance, right? It's a balance of do you have that much work to do? Does AI catch up to kind of handling that work already? And you just got to decide, I guess, where you're at. But it just seems like companies are pretty premature in just
mm,
deciding, oh, let's go ahead and get rid of these people without knowing, I guess, the impact.
right. Or if it can actually replace that sort of output.
Yeah. Like, how do they know for sure? If I get rid of 30,000 people and I only
Hmm.
needed whoever has left, how do
Yeah.
they know for sure they maybe could only afford to let go of 10,000? They probably needed that other 20. I mean, how do you know?
Mm.
Right? It's all kind of a guessing game. And they're like, oh, let's just figure it out. It's probably more based around how much money they actually need to save. And
Right,
they're
of
like, we
course.
just
It's
need to
more like a
cut until we get to this number.
right, it's like a bottom line sort of thing. Not really seeing to your point, I agree. I've never been a CEO of a large company or anything like that, but I would imagine that I would do the same thing you're saying, which is like, okay, let's see the output increase first before we cut all these people. And then some of those companies that did all those mass layoffs and they try to rehire some people back, and you're like, what? Why did you just think? Why don't you measure once or measure once and measure twice, cut once or whatever, that sort of thing,
Yeah.
instead of cutting and then being like, oh wait, let's fire these people. I'm like, don't you think them? So I think I want to imagine that it's the incentives are that they can get their bottom line or they can see like massive increases in profits just by cutting their workforce. And that's the motivation for doing it, which again is very dumb because now you're thinking with money instead of your brain. But that's just my thoughts.
Yeah. But that's what the investors want. That's what
Yeah.
the shareholders want. And so that's
Yeah.
what ends up
Shareholders
happening.
are king. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw this other video, and again, I want your thoughts on this, but so you know how those entry level jobs that are being cut because they're tedious work that AI can do or agents can do. And traditionally, the point was that those entry level jobs are how the new era, the incoming workforce, the recent graduates cut their teeth and get into the workforce. And then they kind of do those menial tasks and then they work their way up to like meaningful careers. But because you're cutting that out, now the generation that are trying to get into the market don't have like a way in through the door. And so now they're kind of in this place where they're stuck of like, okay, well, I mean, I would love an entry level job that requires 10 years of experience, but also those jobs are being outsourced. And even if I wanted the next job up, it's now crowded out because more qualified people are also looking for those jobs because they're being outsourced. So it's like, where do we fit in? And it kind of sucks because that's like a downward spiral of now you have a whole generation of people trying to get work, but then now there's the affordability issue. And if less people are having work, then how can we afford with like taxes and everything or social security because there's less people paying in because less people have money or less people are making money. And so if you're taking away these jobs, who's going to input back into social security? And that's a whole other thing. But yeah, so it's kind of like a mess. So it's like, so then how, if you guys are really big on investing into AI, how are you going to take care of the people who can and are willing to work, but no longer have the positions to work?
Did your video answer that question?
Well, I don't, I don't remember. It was a very doom and gloom video.
Oh yeah. So related to that video, there's another
Yeah,
video
sure.
that was like this prophecy, this AI race of who's gonna build the best AI product. It's like a path to destroying yourself.
Hmm.
And it went about like this. It was the more AI you build, the better it gets, the more people it replaces. The
Hmm.
people it replaces don't have a job, don't have money to spend, the economy declines.
Right.
And then that means you're losing customers because people aren't spending money
Right. They don't have money
for
to spend on your
you.
product. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you're ruining your own business by iterating on AI and cutting people. But if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it and you're going to be out of business anyway.
Right.
So this is super doom and gloom, but I mean, it makes sense. This is probably where we're headed. I really don't know the solution in the future. I have no idea. And universal basic income, I don't really think that's going to happen because
Yeah.
come on.
Because capitalism, we value money too much to give it away to other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. So then what are you going to do?
Hmm.
I think what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to just try and maybe entrepreneurship's going to become bigger because no one's going to hire you. You're just going to have to figure out your own solution. You have a team of agents that are going to be your employees that are going to do things for you, manage every department, and you're just going to build it on your own, see if someone wants to buy it. And maybe that's where it's headed, right? People aren't going to try and work for these traditional type of companies and they're just going to start their own companies. Maybe this is the next wave. Either that or everyone's going to become a carpenter.
Right. All the physical jobs, the
Yeah.
technical crafts jobs. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was talking to my grandpa about this because he's in the HVAC industry. And so he's starting his own sort of company because he used to teach and now it's like a subcontracting and contracting and whatnot. But so the other side of it, and some people don't know this, that AI is just, oh, this is a tool that lives in the cloud. But there's always a physical aspect to these digital things. And that's like the data centers and it's the resources that's being used up, like the water and electricity and stuff like that. And so I believe, and I could be wrong, that the demand for those technical jobs or those hands-on jobs to maintain these physical facilities and energy and cooling and whatnot will be pretty much in demand because you can't have all the AI computing power without these physical facilities to support it. And therefore, that's where the job market's going to shift is towards these sort of jobs. And some people have been saying the same thing too. But yeah, that's like what I've heard. But I'm curious to know if you think, what do you think? And you just mentioned like maybe entrepreneurship. Maybe everyone is now a freelance creative using these tools and build something, and maybe a bigger company buys it. But do you have any thoughts or advice on how people can navigate this new landscape with AI?
Yeah. I think in the short term, this is at least what I've been trying to do is we're seeing that AI is able to kind of cover for your shortcomings. Like for me, I'm not technical. I'm not an engineer, but now with Claude Code and with OpenClaw, I could essentially build an app. I'm actually building an internal app right now that's
Mm,
in a database that's supposed to house a bunch of information that I used to have on many different spreadsheets. Okay. So 6 months ago, I wouldn't be able to do that. And it would be like I would need a designer. I would need an engineer. I would need someone who does layout. I would need someone who does, UI, UX. I mean, I would need a team of all these people. And now I could pretty much do it all by myself. And so in general, I think it's good to try and move horizontally, right? Everyone used to just think I just do my job. I'm going to do it really well and I'm going to excel in my career. It's not that it's not true. Some aspects of that is still true depending on your job. But I think we need to move horizontally and try to expand. So one example is, like I said, if you're in marketing, maybe it's not good enough to just do content like copywriting. You can't just be a copywriter. I'm sorry, but copywriting, AI is like pretty decent at copywriting if you prompt it
mm,
right.
mm.
And you say, stop sounding so AI, right? Uh,
Do it better.
because, yeah, do it better. But you can't just do copywriting. You have to like generate images. You have to probably start doing ads. You have to manage those ads. You have to think about like other things in go to market, not just your one vertical. So I think if you go if you go horizontal and you think about the associated tasks and jobs to the one that you're used to right now, that could kind of help you in the job market, at least at this point, because you would be the person that manages agents that do the things that you're not super good at versus
Mm,
just being the person that just got laid off because an agent took over your job.
mm.
Yeah.
I see. So like broadening your skill sets or learning how to use more tools in a horizontal way, meaning like not just your one skill set, so to speak,
Yeah.
but like a jack of all trades sort of thing, so that you can now manage agents more effectively.
Yeah. At
Mm,
least that's what's happening with me. Even in
right.
sales, right? It's not just, oh, I only do SDR stuff. I only filter calls that come in or do outreach, right? You also do the full sale. You go from beginning to end, you close the deal as well, right? Like you probably have to start doing that in order for you to
Yeah.
matter. Maybe even do onboarding. Who knows? Right? You
Right.
you just have to expand upon your responsibilities, I think.
Mm. I like that. I think that's really good advice. So now I feel like that makes a lot of sense, especially if you're currently working, because now you're in the weeds, sort of, so to speak, or you're in the trenches. Do you have any thoughts or advice on, let's say, students or people who aren't working yet, younger adults or late teens who are now coming up against that huge wall of like, how do I even start my life and get into the job market? What would you advise?
Oh man, that's hard.
Or are they just effed? They're just like, good luck, man. I have no
They're
advice for
kind of
you.
apt. They're kind of apt, I think.
Let's imagine a creative solution as best as we can for we can give them something.
So
Uh,
there is one
Helpful
thought,
advice.
which is in school, there's a lot of direction and instruction on what to do, in what order, what good means and what bad means. And you know exactly how you're doing. I don't think, well, for one, the job market doesn't really work like that. Corporate America doesn't really work like that for the most part. It is a lot more ambiguous than it is. And I think in school, you're taught that you shouldn't fail, right? If you fail, then you fail.
Mm,
And, let's say you fail a course, I guess like you might take it again, but that doesn't really happen often. But in work, let's say you're in business and you're trying something like, oh, I need to grow my revenue. You'll try 20 things and 19 of them will probably fail. But they don't teach you like how to fail in school. They just teach you not to fail. And
mm,
so I think probably the most important attitude and maybe lesson is just to learn that failure is necessary and you're going to have to go through a lot of failure to find the success and you have to keep going because the failure is not going to stop. it's
mm,
just gonna it's gonna kill you if you don't accept it. But things rarely work out perfectly the first time, right? I don't know like what your experience is, but I because the future is so unpredictable and we don't know how quickly AI is kind of affecting work lives and how it's going to affect the job market and entry level people. I think just deal with failure and try to find an alternative solution as often as you can. And if that means pivoting careers, being an entrepreneur, figuring out yourself. I mean, part of it is you used to go to work, be an intern to learn the job. Now you kind of just have to figure out the job. Maybe you build something to showcase that you know what you're doing, and then someone will hire you because you've already shown them you know how to do something. They don't have
Mhm.
to train you on it.
I like that a lot, and I think that's a good thing because it's partially mindset or how you deal with failure is so key because in the old world it's show up. Like school will teach you to show up, get good grades, follow orders, follow instructions, and you'll be fine, and then you get a job, and then 40 years later you retire, whatever. But now it's like you're saying you kind of need to build that resiliency or the ability to learn how to fail and move through that and build value, learn skills. And I always give the same advice to college students as what you just said, which is try doing the thing you want to do, learn and build it yourself. And when you have a proof of concept or you build a website or an app or whatever, that is infinitely more interesting and hireable or valuable for an employer to be like, oh, this person is a self-starter. They learn their own skills. They're passionate about this thing. They did it themselves rather than just, oh, look at my resume. I got all A's and blah, blah, blah. And I did all these clubs and the leadership. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But try doing the thing because with now all the technology and platforms we have, you could build a whole business yourself and show that, oh, I'm a college student, but I built my own business and it has, it does 3 figures in revenue per month, but it's something, right? And I think that's infinitely more valuable.
I like that you brought up when you do something yourself, it shows that you care. And
Yeah.
it made me think about, I guess, at least this is what I'm hearing about Gen Z, right? Gen Z, and it's probably going to be even more extreme when Gen Alpha goes into the workforce. Gen Z doesn't particularly care when it comes to work, and they're like, oh, I'm just going to do it my way. And they're not
Mm,
like really into it. I think a struggle for our company is, I mean, in general, the best case scenario, everyone who's hired to do the thing, they just do the thing that they're supposed to do.
mhm.
But then there's people that don't, or they do the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And there's only so much training and so much instruction and so many one-on-ones you could have with that person. And I think the main thing that we've had trouble with is you can't train someone to care. You can't train someone to have passion for
Mm,
something. Like you kind of either have it or you don't have it.
mm,
And I just kind of wonder if the next generation of workers like Gen Z, if they'll care enough to even stick it out at a job, you know? And if you do, great. You would be the best people that I would want to hire. But if you just don't care, I don't know how to teach you to care. So maybe go do something that you do care about. I don't know what it would be, but
yeah.
yeah, probably wouldn't be corporate America.
Right. Of course. If that's not your thing, there's a lot of opportunities out there, but also don't complain, I guess, if you find that it's hard because everything is hard, right? I was gonna say 5 years ago, we could make the joke and be like, "Oh, you don't like corporate America? Just start an OnlyFans or something." But even that is outsourced by AI now. There's so many.
Oh,
There's those
yeah.
stories of I just saw maybe yesterday where it was like this med student from India scammed a bunch of people because he made an AI girl OnlyFans, but he asked ChatGPT, okay, my OnlyFans AI generated girl is not making money. What should I do? And it told him you should niche down to MAGA conservative old white men. And he did it and he like made thousands of dollars per month. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. And he gave the reasons why you shouldn't aim for like liberals, but you should aim for conservatives and X, Y, and Z. And then he tested it out and it worked. I'm like, that is insane.
Can you imagine if he did it, anyone else can do it, and all the content you look at is all going to be fake content. So, I mean, going off of that, I really hope that these companies that do manage content have some sort of identifier in the future that just at least
Yeah.
tells you, is this AI generated or not? Because
Yeah.
it would be nice to know, right? Maybe it doesn't make a difference when we're looking at it if we don't know, but it bothers us if we don't know. It bothers me if I don't
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. It's like a
right?
transparency thing, right? Like part of us, if we know that it's, well, we want to know what it is. And if we don't get that transparency, it's kind of like when people have, the affiliate links for something and the, the regulations are like, oh, you need to disclose that you're an affiliate or something like that. It would make sense that we have some sort of AI tagged so that you can regulate so we know what's real and what's fake, especially in this age. Because, like, to your
Yeah.
point, people want to know what's real.
I feel like half the stuff I see on Instagram right now are all AI
No,
generated.
it is. And
Uh,
it's like, dude, I'm not interested so much stuff. I'm like, dude, why are you showing me this? Ads, just regular contents, I'm like, fake
uh,
person, fake videos. I'm like, who wants to see this? I guess some people who don't know want to see it, but kind of sucks.
yeah. Okay, last point on that. It's kind of a hard thing to do if you think about it, right? Let's just say let's say your video, it's not AI content, but you use AI to edit the video, to
Sure,
cut
like
it
tools.
down, to edit
Right.
the
Yeah,
word.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you use AI tools, I wonder if that would flag it, right? Because most of the thing is you just want to make sure that there isn't like an AI person that's on something or you like animate something with AI. But yeah, I just wonder if what would pass and what
Actually,
doesn't.
that's a great point because I was thinking about that too, where it's like, let's say you have an artist, but they use an AI tool to do some sort of like thing that's repetitive. Are you going to say that's AI content? And the YouTube channel that I watch, the infographics show, after a certain point, the narrator was like, "Hey, this is Josh," because people are like, "Is this AI?" But his voice is just so, good that people think
Yeah.
it's, and then also because it's like cartoon images or sort of like animations, but they're very transparent. They're like, no, no, there's no AI generated content in this. Like, it's all real animators doing all this stuff. But so I get that. But the whole point of like, what about AI tools? Or like, let's say I use AI to do the transcript for this episode. I'm like, is it AI generated content? I'm just like pulling out a transcript. It's not creative work. It's more just so yeah, I don't know. But that's a good point.
Yeah, we'll see what they come up with.
So if you don't have any thoughts on that, I mean we're kind of transitioning. The only other thing I want to talk about was like these LinkedIn posts that you've been making, which I thought I mentioned in person were really interesting. And you mentioned like becoming a thought leader or at least just putting your thoughts out there to propose on LinkedIn. And I pulled a few of them that had the most, I guess, engagement or comments because I thought they were all interesting. But I don't know if you wanted to talk about any of these, but I can kind of rapid fire through these. So the first one that I pulled was toxic high performers. You mentioned like the hidden cost of toxic high performers and being a net drain on your organization. I thought that was interesting, very thought provoking. The second one, can I be myself at work? Which I think the main idea I got from it was aspiring to be your best self at work while also balancing different sides based on the context because people feel like, oh, should I be fake at work? But at the same time, it's like there's professional. So if I'm being professional, am I fake? But you are proposing that you can have the balance based on context and you're just trying to be your best self. And I think that's very valid. And then the last one was staying engaged in your company, which is people, I think you mentioned 2 points of engagement or what's important for company and or for employees, and that's them wanting to have personal growth but also feel like they're on a winning team within your company. And if you can do those things, you'll have better retention. Do you have any thoughts that you want to follow up on those? Because I think those are all interesting.
Yeah, we can start with the first one. The first one was,
The toxic high performers.
yeah, toxic high performers. They get a lot more slack than they probably deserve. It's also because I've seen this happen quite a lot. It's mainly when someone pisses people off in an organization. Let's say you have a meeting and this toxic high performer says something or is like ultra critical about you,
Mm.
right? Not only are you not going to perform for the rest of the day, most likely, because you feel like crap, you're going to go talk to person B about your coworker, and then they're not going to work for as long as you're
Mm.
talking. And then that person is going to spread some gossip to like 3 other people. And then that's another 3 hours that no one is working. So if you think about it, that's kind of the blast radius thing is if one person is a high performer, but they're always doing this, people are always talking about them, they're always rubbing people the wrong way. Then you have like HR coming and trying to mediate the problem, or the manager has to do it. They're not spending that time doing something more productive. And over time, it gets to the point where it's just not worth it. It's just really not worth it. I think most of the time, people have more longevity at work if they're just easier to work with than
Yeah.
if they're a high performer or not. You could be fine. You do your job, you're satisfactory, and you get along with everyone. Everyone loves you. Everyone's great.
Mm.
No one has complaints. But if you're the toxic high performer, you're probably going to get kicked out in some way before that other guy. So anyway,
Mm.
that's the thoughts on that one. The second one,
Can I be myself at work?
oh yeah, can you be yourself at work? This is kind of like people thinking that they have to be fake at work or they have to play the game or they have to still that like corporate lingo,
Yeah.
maybe. Like,
Yeah, or like
do you
office
have to,
politics.
yeah. Do you have to change who you are at work in order to fit in? And to me, it's more of like you shouldn't be changing yourself, but you should probably filter yourself to a degree. And just because you filter yourself doesn't mean that you're being fake. And it's just a matter of reading the room, what's appropriate and what's not. Just because you go into a library, which is just a building, you could yell if you want to, but you're not supposed to because the environment doesn't tell you that you should. And so that's the same analogy is at work, there's like a certain expectation that you should be acting. And so you just say professional, and that doesn't mean that you're being fake. But yeah, maybe you should keep some of your opinions to yourself because this is not the place that you're supposed to give your opinions that just make people unproductive, right? We're all here to do a job and we're all here
Mm,
to be productive. So if your very strong opinion about something, I don't know, let's just say Trump, you have very strong opinions about Trump.
yeah.
Maybe you don't need to talk about them.
Hmm.
Keep that to yourself if you don't have to talk about them.
It's like social awareness, reading the room, or as Hannah Kim mentioned, nunchi, where it's kind of like
Yeah,
it's
nunchi.
yeah. Like I have a friend who she kind of struggles with this, where she's very, I don't know, abrasive in her language. And her thing is like, well, I just want to be authentic because my friends from home or my real friends or whatever, her close friends will accept her as she is and she can have like vulgar language and stuff like that. But obviously that type of person will rub a lot of people the wrong way. And it's not saying, oh, don't be yourself, but it's more just like my advice was I think wisdom is the ability to discern that you don't need to say everything that you feel or all your opinions. And that's not filtering, that's just wisdom. Or no, sorry, that's like censoring yourself. It's not censoring yourself, it's just wisdom to know that you don't need to say everything that's on your mind, if that makes sense.
I don't know why, but this example came like if your wife asks you how she looks in a dress, it takes wisdom to not tell her she looks fat.
You're like, actually, you do look a little bit fatter than
Yeah,
before.
yeah, doesn't look so good around the butt area, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this lighting
So
is terrible. Like,
that's wisdom right there.
no, exactly. It's all
Yeah,
those
yeah.
with my girlfriend and I, like, when we made a lot of couple content, it's always the whole, like, being in a relationship, you learn these sort of wisdom. You learn wisdom of what to say, what not to say. Whereas someone who has not been in like a long-term relationship or has had relationships before, they don't have the nunchi or the social awareness or the rules of, boyfriends, girlfriends, or whatever partners of what to say, what not to say. So it's kind of, I think,
Yeah.
guess it's similar, right? In the professional space.
Yeah. What was the third one? The third one
Yeah.
was,
First one is like staying engaged at your company and people wanting personal growth and then wanting to know that their company is winning.
yeah. I think this topic came about because it's always hard to motivate people. I kind of said it earlier, right? It's hard to
Right.
teach people to care,
Right.
but to a degree, you still have to try, right? That's kind of what
Yeah.
managers do. You motivate your team. Maybe they care, but you could help them care more. And the way to keep people motivated, obviously rewarding them with money is helpful, but it's always a short-term thing. And what came to mind is sometimes you can't just give people money. Like you just don't have budget. You just don't
Mm,
have money to give. Okay, so what do you do with a team that's not motivated if you don't have money to give? I think that the next best thing is at least show them progress. Show them that things are getting better. Maybe their work is getting better. Maybe we're seeing results and things are changing for maybe things that are annoying to them at work. Maybe I'm at least tackling the things that are annoying in their workday, right? So showing progress is pretty helpful for motivation, I think, if you can't give money. And the other side of it would probably be something along the lines of inspiration, right? If you know where the company is going, if you know what the company is trying to achieve, maybe even just a team. If the team
mm,
knows what the goals are, if they're defined, then people know what they're working toward. But what causes people to lose motivation is they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. What am I even doing here? Like,
mm.
what is the point of all this, right? People ask these questions all the time. And if they know the answer, then at least they have something to work toward. So as much as possible, I try to give the good and the bad with everything. At least they know what's going on and what we're trying to do at all times. And hopefully, people stay engaged and people stay motivated.
Yeah. I like that. It's kind of like having a vision or a purpose that drives everyone in the right direction or the same direction. I've worked for companies where that was the same problem was the lack of transparency that people always put. They're like, yeah, I don't know how my work ties into the larger picture, the company vision, and I don't know that my work matters. And I think that transparency and alignment on vision is more important than people might realize. And to your point as well, it's like growth. It's kind of like that Tony Robbins thing where it's, people are happy when there's progress towards a goal, not just either landing at the goal, but it's like knowing that they're progressing towards something is always kind of like the calculus for happiness. And I think that's a good point. I'd like to throw on a third thing in my study of organizations and leadership is recognition is another big thing that people can do in their organizations, especially as a leader or manager, that does turn the dial for a lot of people. Because there's that saying, I don't know how true it is, but it's like people will die for recognition and or just feeling like they matter from their team or their leaders or whatnot. I think that goes a long way. And to your point, if you don't have budget, I feel like you have enough energy to just tell someone that you appreciate them and or they did great work in X, Y, and Z. That goes a long way than trying to find the budget to throw 10 grand at them for a raise or something like that, you know?
It's a good point. Recognition is a very cheap
Yeah, it's
alternative
very
that
cheap.
like it is underutilized, I
Yeah.
think, by many. It's a good reminder that I should probably recognize more people more often. I
Yeah.
think from
That was
our
very,
our Common
yeah.
Modern days, you could tell that I don't recognize people quite enough.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just like, oh, it was good enough. It was cool.
yeah, if you guys,
Yeah.
well, you guys won't get the reference, but if you listen to the episode 47, like I mentioned, we kind of go into that of how Hung was back in our college years. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only reason why I know that is because I know in our team at work and even on my dance team that I direct, we kind of embed gratitude into our feedback loops. And so with Agile, with Scrum, part of our retrospective is like kudos, gratitude to the people around us. And it's like a small thing, and you can think of it as like a little hokey because like, all right, gratitude, like shout outs to people on your team. Who wants to go first? And it's like, oh, shout out to this person, he helped me
Mm.
with this code thing or whatever. It sounds like it doesn't matter, but in reality, you do that over and over consistently, your team actually does improve performance when they feel safe and trusted and they feel recognized for the work that they do. Because a lot of times people will feel like their work is not recognized or acknowledged, and having these consistent cadence of recognizing our team does go a huge way. And so, just to add on to
Yeah.
your points, I feel like recognition does help.
Yeah. There actually is. So we have a weekly meeting, which is kind of ridiculous for most
Mm.
companies to have a weekly meeting with everybody on it.
They do.
But
Is
it's
it
only
just
30
updates?
minutes. It's mostly updates, but one
Mm.
section of it is just shout outs. It's just people who
Okay.
want to shout out people on their team, people that they work with, maybe a project that they just recently finished. And we give space for that. And I think it does make a big difference, especially with the morale of the company, right? Like people are feeling a lot better about that. So yeah, I think it is helpful. That's probably why we've kept it in
Mm.
for so
Yeah, for
many
sure.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay. Actually, I had one lingering question. So on the first topic, toxic high performers, is the advice to try to be more intentional with that calculus of, okay, net or profit from high performer, but then the drain. And so you kind of have to do that calculus of, is this person worth it? Or is the advice just to do your best to identify those toxic high performers if you know that they exist and just try to get them out? Or as a policy, try to find the right people? Or what is the prescription for that?
I think if you have a toxic high performer, what most people or most managers will try to do first is try to change their attitude. And that's probably not going to happen, right? So next thing that
Right.
you do is you isolate them. You try your
Mm,
best to confine the damage to just themselves. You put them on an island. You say, don't
mm,
talk to anybody. Just do your job and do it well. But then if that doesn't work, then you have to do the whole, okay, well, are they
mm,
helping me as a manager or are they not helping me as a manager? If they're still performing so well that their numbers are making you look amazing or they're pushing code or whatever it is that they do, yeah, maybe it's worth it to keep them for a little bit longer. But I think over time, you might end up losing other team members. And it's like, okay, well, do you want to sacrifice your whole team for this person
Yeah.
or
Was
what?
it worth it?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a case by case, I'd say, honestly.
Right, right. And also too, a worse situation is if that person is an information knowledge bottleneck, like they're the specialist on the one thing, and you're like, great, our whole business model revolves around this one guy, and he's the worst person, and you're
See,
like,
it's because
well,
he's cocky. He's so cocky. He
yeah,
knows.
and that
This
too,
person that
maybe,
you're talking
yeah,
about, they
hmm
know they're important. And that's why they have a bad attitude because they're like, I can afford to do that.
that's
You know, people have to
crazy,
listen to me. I know everything.
yeah,
And that's when, if you're like my founder, you say, I don't give a shit. Get out. We'll figure it out. Either that or you hire someone and you force them to train them and then you kick them out. But
mm,
that's the only thing that you could do. But that sucks. Honestly, that
yeah,
sucks.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like a words of wisdom horror story sort of thing where it's you have to be proactive with this sort of thing, get the right people on the bus, like the culture, your team culture, your organization's culture, and try to remove those like in a process system way that I'm thinking is try not to have those bottlenecks. Obviously, if you can sort of make sure there's knowledge
It's
transfers
hard in
and
smaller companies. It's so
yeah,
hard.
of course, because
Yeah.
everyone's wearing multiple hats. But I think it's maybe I'm trying to think of the advice is try your best to kind of spread out the knowledge, not have those bottlenecks, and then you're less at risk to having that sort of toxic employee that's a high performer and they know they probably did it intentionally maybe or maybe they hoard like I've worked in an organization where they hoarded information like they specifically wanted to be the bottleneck and then it's okay you are genius so I'll give you that but now we're all screwed because of that.
It's good
Okay.
advice.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I think those are very good topics or things to think about especially in the workplace and whatnot and being a leader or manager. Any other thoughts? Otherwise, we're at the hour, we're past the hour, so we can start wrapping this up. Do you think we left anything out?
No, not really. I think I'm just kind of thinking about like where AI is going, but no one knows. No one knows
Yeah.
where it's going. We don't know where the job market's really going. So I think for you and I, we could just pray that we still have jobs in the future. But here's to having jobs in the future.
I know. Hopefully. I don't know I don't know how you feel or what your stress level is because I know you're actively using AI and you're in this sort of like this position you're in where you manage people. But me personally, I'm just like, okay, I am going to continue learning skills and develop my own skills and do my side stuff because I do want to learn and plant these seeds to eventually become other things that can be passion projects, their own businesses, my own coaching and consulting, etc. And so I think as long as I know I'm focused on continuous growing and learning and leveraging new tools, I feel okay. Not only that, but I'm as a personal finance coach, I'm pretty solid on my finances. So I'm like, okay, worst case scenario, like at least I have a good solid financial foundation. So I'm not worried too much. But that's just me. And I know other people have different situations. So I feel for you. But that's why I feel okay. But I don't know how you feel in general with your own situation.
At least with, I'll just say my girlfriend,
Hmm.
she has been extremely anxious about anything related to AI
Mm,
because it affects her stability in the future. She doesn't know if she's going to have a job. She doesn't know how many jobs are going to be replaced. She doesn't know if she's going to be replaced. And I'm trying not to go down that route. My attitude has been I'm just going to try my best to stay relevant
mm,
and do what I can to stay relevant and sort of hope for the best. And if I can be more relevant than the next person that's doing the same thing and more effective and more, I don't know, a better performer, hopefully I get the chance instead of somebody else. But either way, it's tough. It's really tough. I do want to have a good attitude about it because it is also exciting, but it's tough because it's just an unknown space. But I do want to say, even before we go to the gratitude stuff, I think I am very lucky to be in a position, and I guess shout out to my founder, Taylor Ho, and the company that he built and allowing someone like me to even have the space to explore AI and try it. He kind of forced it down my throat. But like, hey,
yeah.
it's been a great learning experience for me. Not everyone is exposed to it. even though he does it a little bit too much, he's like literally telling me about AI news every damn day. Oh, there's this tweet. Oh, was it SpaceX just bought another AI
Yeah.
company? Come on, every day. But I think it's good to have someone like that in your life that allows you to explore and allow you to fail and allow you to try things. And the biggest thing that he gets pissed about is if you didn't try anything. It's like for him, it pisses him off to be at the status quo. So yeah, I really appreciate just at least allowing me to be in this space.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a great takeaway. Okay. Let's wrap it up. Let's go into this. I mean, you already said you're grateful for that. That's awesome. Do you have anything else you're grateful for as we wrap up?
Grateful for you, man. Grateful to have you in my
Thanks,
life,
man.
to invite me onto a podcast and talk about this horrible topic. I'm just kidding.
Super horrible, super fun.
Super
My
fun,
new
super
toy is too
horrible.
good at its job. Ugh.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you too, man. Any final asks from the audience or any final takeaways besides doom and gloom and just pray like the both of us?
No,
Yeah. Good
not
luck.
right now. Yeah, just good luck.
Godspeed.
Just be happy. I think it just revolves around like the anxiety of everything right now. I think we just have to
Yeah.
find things that give us peace, find things that make us happy. And even for me, I'm just so high strung every day, but I need to find a way to disconnect. So hopefully everyone has their version of how to actually disconnect and reset.
Yeah. That's great. I like that a lot. A quick tangent. My friend and I were talking on a previous episode about what jobs will we have in an AI apocalypse. And I'm like, look, I'm just gonna lean into the comedy thing. I'm gonna make my village laugh, and that's
Yeah.
that's my only real skill set I have in an AI apocalypse. So we'll see.
I do want to say this. I'm fairly certain that AI is not going to be good at jokes.
Okay. See, I mean,
I, like,
I'm hoping the same thing. I'm hoping
yeah,
I can be the
for
court
the sake
jester
of your
for my
future career.
yeah,
Yeah.
for my Matrix overlord. I'll try to make him laugh or whatever.
Your audience is not even going to be people. It's just going to be agents.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Make me laugh human. Yeah, I'll try my
Yeah.
best. Cool. All right. Last thing, where can people find you if they want to connect and see what you're up to? I'll link your socials, obviously, but
Yeah, link my socials. You can find me on LinkedIn. I've been posting more on there. Just, I don't know, because the stuff it is the most appropriate outlet when you spend so much time thinking about work and work things. You're not going to
Mhm.
go post it on your Instagram because none of your
Right.
friends give a shit. So,
Right.
yeah, like it's kind of an interesting outlet so far. Maybe, hopefully I'll continue. But yeah, you can find me there. You can find me on Instagram. If I know you, I'll add you. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, definitely check him out. As I was scrolling Instagram, that was one of the reasons why I'm like, oh, I should have him back on the show. Because I was like, oh, this is interesting. I'm also playing with AI and seeing your journey with it and all these interesting topics. So yeah, I recommend that. All right, I'll do my final sign off. Thanks, Hong, for being here. I really appreciate it. The best. You're one of my top guests who have been back 3 times now. So you have that award. I think you're second place. So I appreciate you.
Wait, has someone actually been on the show more than 3 times?
Yeah, 4. He just recorded in the last episode.
Oh,
My friend
dang.
Aiden. Yeah, so he's at
Wow.
4. So I only have like 4 people who are at 3. So you've joined that club of the magical 3. I was telling him, I was like, if I asked you on more than twice, it's probably because I like you. Because first time could be a fluke. Second time, all right, maybe I have something interesting to say. Third time, I have to like you in order for me to want you back on for a third time. And so just kudos to all of my 3-timers and above that I definitely like you guys as people. In addition to, I like to hear what you guys have to think or have to say. So I appreciate that. Okay, final sign off. Thank you guys for listening and I really appreciate it. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe, all that cool jazz and whatnot. Leave us 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening to. Reminder to always be kind to other people, especially yourself, because I don't think AI can be kind yet. It can be fake kind. And remember that you can always learn something from someone if you take the time to listen. So thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.